Senpai, welcome to Pictures, Noise and Words. I'm Hedgy, and this is Mardelas. And this is JustPanda, who's still here. There's no escape once you're in the gravity well of Pictures, Noise and Words. You're trapped. No, I really appreciate you being here this week. It's been
Thank you.
very
Thank you for
useful.
having me.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. It's because I've not really had to do much. You just talk and fill in all the bits I don't know about, which is most of them. Because I do no research. However, this is a band called Mardelas, recommended by JustPanda. This is a band. It's a song called Apocalypse, and it's not only have I not heard the song, I've not heard of the band. They've got this EP, I believe. It's not an album, called Ground Zero. That's all I've got.
Okay.
So
they do have some full albums out there, Mardelas 1, 2 and 3. So they've been around since 2014.
All right.
So they have put out a fair amount of work in that time.
Yeah.
Again, this is a band that played at the Metal Matsuri last year in London, and they were fantastic. They were great live.
I very nearly went to that.
Oh, you missed out, man. You should have come.
It just fell at the wrong time for me. But yeah, I very nearly went.
Oh.
I was literally changing job and things at the time when that came on, so it was just not a good. It just wasn't on my mind. I was had other things on my mind, so it just kind of passed me by almost. So yeah, and now of course I wish I'd gone, because who knows when we'll get another chance, sort of thing.
Yeah, we're hoping in the next couple of years that we'll get a second one. So obviously everything that's gone on this year's put a dampener on when arrangements can be made for big shows like that. Yep. It's not like they've got a 5-minute drive to get to a venue. They've got planes, they've got accommodation to sort out. They're coming from the other side of the world, so it takes a lot of planning. From the Orion Live guys. They do a fantastic job. So hopefully we will see a second Metal Matsuri in the future, and you will have to come.
Yes, clearly. So before we get on to this, there's something else that you're involved in, isn't there? Which is the Beyond Senpai stuff. Do you want to explain that?
Okay, so Beyond Senpai, we're pretty new to the scene. So what we are promoting is fan-based content for Japanese music and culture. So people who have a love for a band or have been to a show or been to an idol show, we're encouraging them to write articles or reach out to bands to have interviews with them and to write features so that we can promote fan-based content. So we've got a WordPress account, which you're going to link. We've got a Facebook group. We've got a Twitter group that we've not got masses of followers, but we're doing okay. And we've put out some nice articles, and we did an interview with an alternative idol called Garuda just recently. She's got a new album out, so I was able to do an interview with her, a written interview, which was quite popular. So yeah, it's all about promoting fan-based content in the community and getting people being creative, I suppose.
Cool. It's nice if you can turn your interest into and sort of turn it into something that's creative, and you get to share it with other people, because that's how you get more out of it by being able to put something into it. And a lot of people, I think, they're interested in something, but they've got no outlet for it.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Because we had me and Tom, who helped run Beyond Senpai, we had done some previous stuff. We'd done a little bit of content creation and writing some articles, did some interviews, and people were wanting to do it. There were other members of the community who wanted to do this kind of stuff, but they didn't have a way in to being able to write an article, or how to edit an article, that kind of stuff, or how to reach out to bands and ask for an interview. So we kind of provide a route for people to be able to do that kind of stuff, which is quite cool. So we've had a few guest features from people that we know in the community that have discussed online lives that they've watched during the summer due to the pandemic because there's been no concerts. We've got an independent Japanese label based in Germany called Get Your Genki, who provide compilation mixtapes on cassette of Japanese bands and idols, which is really, really cool. So we've got a couple of features on them. We're working quite closely with Get Your Genki. But yeah, the community, the Japanese community, especially here in the UK and Europe, it's quite close. We've got larger fan bases like the Japanese Music Experience on Facebook. That's got a lot of members, and they promote mostly music. So Beyond Senpai was kind of going down the music and culture route, but getting the community more involved. So we're kind of doing something a little bit different to some of the other groups in the community at the moment, I think.
All right. Well, the link's been on screen, and links are below, people, to anything that we discuss, obviously, on these videos.
Thank you.
So check it out, as they say. Obviously, people watching this can see that we're having some technical issues, but the audio is fine. See, JustPanda doesn't know she's having technical issues.
Oh no.
So we're getting a bit of a slideshow, but the audio is fine.
Sorry.
It doesn't matter. It's just like, when it's like you're pulling faces because you kind of go,
God.
and then you go,
I'll just cover my face.
and then you go like this. Yes. Whereas I look perfect.
Yeah, you look perfect. Thank you.
Of course. So
it's good to know who my friends are, Hedgy.
But it is what it is. That's the joy of video. I mean, the whole world's video conferencing at the moment, so I'm sure people are used to this sort of thing. So I mean, most of the time you're fine, but you just, unfortunately, we lost you during that. But
I'm sorry.
Yes, you should.
Just put my photo up. Just put a screenshot of me up looking good.
Yeah, the one from Ninganisu. Yeah. I mean, that night when we went to see Ninganisu, for me was amazing. I know we're supposed to be watching some band's video. We'll get there, people. Because it was one of those special occasions when when you were there, you knew it was special. Quite often you don't realise something was special till later.
Yeah.
And you realise how lucky you were to have seen the thing at the time or whatever. I mean, it became even more special when the pandemic hit and we realised we just saw them before the pandemic hit.
We just sneaked that show in, really, didn't we?
Like a week or two, wasn't it? And but it was one of those special things that was where even when you were there and you were watching it, you were thinking, wow. And my boys were there and they said the same thing, and they're really cynical, because they're that age when they're just cynical about everything. And even they said, well, that was kind of this amazing experience to just you thought this may never happen again. It had that we didn't even know the pandemic was coming, and at the time we thought this may never happen again, and it was doubly great for me because people came and said hello, and that I just people from Japan coming up to me and talking to me, and it's like, wow, this is really weird, but it was great. I really enjoyed it so much. But and I imagine that when you went to the Metal Matsuri event, it probably had that same feel, where you was thinking, what are the chances I was ever going to get to see these bands?
I know.
And it requires an event like that, I think.
Yeah, I think like when I first started listening to Japanese bands, a lot of them I never thought, they're never going to come to the UK. These are bands that are never going to come over here. And there's been this real kind of push in the community. There's a lot of bands from Japan that are now fairly well known outside of Japan, which I think is incredible. So, I mean, I'm really pleased when Ninganisu announced that show. I was straight onto Twitter. I was like, Hedgy, oh my God, look. And we just couldn't believe it because we already had Baby Metal that week. It was the UK leg of the tour.
For me, it was the next night.
It was the next night for you. It was a couple of nights later for me. But what a special show. Special show.
Absolutely was. It was amazing, and I actually said in an earlier Neganisu video, here's a band I will never get to see.
Yeah.
I literally said that.
Yes, you did.
Oh, this is a band I will never get to see unless I spend £1 million and 10-hour flight to Tokyo or something.
Yeah.
And then they came over. So yeah, it was like, I must see this. I must.
It was a great show, and it was so intimate. There was like 400 of us there at the Underworld. It was it's a small venue anyway, but it was just, they were just fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic band. And I know a lot of people in the UK who didn't come along to the show, one because Baby Metal were playing either the night, like that weekend, and two because they felt that the tickets were quite expensive for that show. And they were fairly pricey. It was a fairly pricey show for the Underworld. It's definitely the most expensive show I've ever been to at the Underworld, but it was absolutely worth the money. I would have definitely paid more to go.
Don't say that.
I would have. It was such a good show. It really was a great show.
It was. But it was special because all the audience was. I said this in my review. The audience was. No one was there by accident, so everyone was. Everyone was kind of as eager to see them as anyone else. You know, it was like a fan club gig.
Yeah. People travelled from all over the world to come to that show.
Yeah,
all over the world.
I was speaking to a guy from America. There were people. I mean, people who had flown over from Japan. So we're saying, well, we can't possibly fly to Japan to see something. Some people flew over from Japan. Yeah,
they did. Yeah,
yeah. And I have this fantastic. Memory of this Japanese lady afterwards, as I was leaving, she was looking at me as I went past intently, and I kind of stopped and I went, hello? That kind of thing. And she pointed at me and she went, YouTube. I went, yes. It was just, that's fixed in my mind. And then I met her mother, and it was like, this is really weird. But what an amazing experience that was. Anyway,
yes,
I could talk about that literally all day.
Definitely.
And of course, I met you and got a picture with you. Sorry, that was the highlight. I missed that bit.
That was my highlight of the night. I was like in that queue, waiting for you to walk past. I was like, where is he? Why is he not here yet? I've got a badge to give him. I need to say hello. Proper fangirling over meeting you. So I was really happy that I got to meet you, and it was such a great show. And for anyone who didn't come along to that show, you've missed out.
Yeah, you really missed out, people.
You really missed out.
Well, there's a lot of unhappy people in America because they were supposed to play South by Southwest festival, and it got cancelled because of COVID. So there's a lot of unhappy people in the States, I suspect. Anyway,
right,
we're about an hour and a half in, and we haven't done the song. I have not watched this. I have not heard this. I don't know anything about this band, Mardelas, and a song called Apocalypse. So I don't even know what style this song is. So let's find out, and we can talk about it afterwards. So I need to count you in.
Okay.
Because JustPanda can't see my screen. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay then. That you get your money's worth out of that one. So it's been an interesting week. We've had Unlucky Morpheus with sort of technical kind of progressive power metal. It's a bit hard to pigeonhole Unlucky Morpheus. We've had Bloodstained Child, where you've got kind of death metal leanings with a bit of dance layered into there. And now we've got Mardelas, which is much more heavy metal. You know, it's much more in that traditional kind of heavy metal sound, but it's still got. But right back at the beginning of the week, we were talking about how you get the genre, and then they Japanese it up. You know, they put their touch on it. One thing that I was smiling about was, why have one solo when you can have two? And that's that's a Japanese thing.
It's the way. It's what we expect now. It's like you hear an American band, one guitar solo. What are you doing?
Then do the chorus another couple of times and then stop. And there's one great thing about Japanese music is they tend to go back and play another one. For another 30 bars or something. So you know what? That's a grower, that one. It starts off because it's kind of, I've got to pick the right word here, but it's kind of heavy metal. You know, it doesn't start off being clever and being progressive or whatever. It starts off and you think, but you haven't actually got the measure of it, because the song actually gets better and better as it goes on, gets more, grows in intensity, or whatever the right word is. I don't know, but by the time I got 3/4 of the way through, it was like, wow, this is really something. This is more than I thought we were getting at 5 minutes ago, sort of thing.
Well, I'm glad you really enjoyed it. They're a fantastic band. And the keyboard solo near the end as well by Mao, who plays in the band Lightbringer, who Fuki from Unlucky Morpheus is the lead singer of. So I think it's great that all these musicians in Japan kind of help each other out. They play in each other's bands. They come on tour with each other, and you don't get that over here. You don't get that in the UK. You don't get it in America. They spread the joy. They spread this musical talent with one another, which is good. It's weird to us because we don't do that here.
No.
It's like you're in your band, and like you've got to stay in that band, and God forbid you ever go off and do anything else. But in Japan, they just share all these fantastic musicians and create all these new kind of hybrid groups. I love it. I can't get enough of it. More of it, please.
No, but they're really impressive, and I had never heard of them. And that's the thing about discovering a whole country's worth of music. There's always going to be more stuff that you don't know about until somebody points it out. So, So how do you know how popular they are? Because they managed to get on the Metal Matsuri tour.
Yeah, well, I think they're one of the Orion Live promoters is a big fan of Mardelas, so I think he was quite keen to get them on the tour. I think they're fairly popular in Japan. I mean, I don't really look to see how popular bands are over there. It's not something that I've ever kind of really delved into, like how popular they are. I don't look at their charts or anything like that. I don't really know how it works over there in Japan. Like they've obviously got the Oricon chart and stuff like that you see baby metal on it, but how popular metal and rock is in Japan compared to like the idol world, I'm not sure. I've not really looked, to be honest, but the bands that are kind of coming out of Japan that we're starting to get to see over here, especially when YouTube channels and reaction channels delve into that kind of stuff. You've got bands like Maximum the Hormone. They're becoming really popular in the West. They're just insane. They're fantastic.
They will copyright strike you, folks. Their record company will.
That's why I didn't recommend us do them. So as much as I would have liked to have done some Maximum the Hormone, because I think they're a really good band, I know that they're not a safe band for YouTube. And you've got bands like Love Bites, and Bandmate, who have become really popular in
Yep.
the West. They've toured in America, they've toured over here. Love Bites toured with Dragon Force last year. So there's a lot of bands coming out of Japan now, which is great. They're coming over to the UK, they're coming to Europe, they're coming to America. So more of that, please, when life gets back to whatever normal is going to be.
So do you like the Visual K bands like Versailles and
Yeah. I mean, they're they're interesting bands. I mean, I think the the style of them, the visual of them, we don't have that in the West.
no?
Metal bands, rock bands don't look like that. They don't delve into that kind of style at all. So I find it quite refreshing to see the visual K bands kind of doing that kind of stuff. Bands like Jalika, they're a band that are just about to go on tour in Japan just now. They've got an album coming out in the next week, so definitely check them out. And they're a visual K band, and they they're so beautiful. It's like it's not something that you talk about when you talk about metal and rock, is like how beautiful the bands are, and I quite like that. I like the fact that they make an effort. I like the fact that they've got someone who's created these gorgeous outfits and gorgeous costumes and put a lot of time into it. Bands like Wagaki Band, they've got a fantastic team behind them that style them and stuff. And the effort that goes in, we don't do that over here. You put a band t-shirt on and some baggy jeans and you send the bands out on their way.
Yep.
So it's nice to see a little bit of effort being made. So
Fair enough. And I mean, of course, it is a visual style. It doesn't necessarily denote the kind of music they're going to play. Because you got Versailles and they're playing, power metal really well. I mean, that guy in the 19th century dress, it's just like you can't take your eyes off him. It's kind of, and it goes it, but I try not to. Try not to be distracted by the novelty of it.
Yeah.
And listen to what they're playing, and it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
And then you've got other bands that come under the Visual K moniker.
But they don't sound the same.
But they don't sound the same at all.
No.
Yeah. So but I just wondered,
Yeah. It's fun to kind of find these bands. Like there's some Japanese bands that are popular in the West that I'm not as much of a fan of, and it feels like, oh, you've got to be a fan of these bands because they're the ones that have made it out of Japan. And then I listen to kind of other Japanese bands that haven't made it out of Japan and aren't as popular. So I think the Japanese scene's got a lot to give, and it's very broad. It's a broad scene over there for lots of different music styles. I think there's something for everyone.
Yeah, but because you're close to it and you have contacts with people who are also into it, you are going to get exposed to much more of it than somebody like me, who only sees what gets put in front of him, kind of thing, So the rest of us rely on people like you to go and find this stuff and start recommending.
We'll recommend it. We will definitely recommend it.
Because
absolutely.
Because there's certainly a certain amount of effort involved in trying to delve into another culture's music scene. So not everyone has the inclination or the time or whatever.
I mean, I think if anybody's watching and they're looking for online communities to find new bands and stuff, I would definitely recommend the Japanese Music Experience on Facebook. I've found a lot of bands on there. The guys that admin it and run the site are really helpful and really friendly. There's always new bands going on there, from metal to rock to punk bands to idol to alternative idol. So if you are looking for like a community here in the UK and Europe to follow, to try and find out more about Japanese music, the Japanese Music Experience is definitely a good place to start. It's where a lot of us found a lot of the bands that we're listening to, and we've all become friends as well. See, when Japanese bands come to the UK, it's always the same people in the front row. It's the usual suspects. We all know each other. We meet up for beers beforehand. It's a real kind of reunion every time a band comes over, and and it's a really special community, especially here in the UK and in Europe, because I've been over to Tilburg to see Baby Metal back in February, and I was welcomed so much by all the Dutch fans, the German boys that were there. People were travelling from all over Europe to that gig, and everyone was so friendly. But yeah, we're a special community. The Japanese fans in the UK and Europe, definitely special.
Metal is a special community
Yes.
for whatever reason. I don't, because we're all, well, I know what the reason is. It's because people are there for the music. It's not not to do pop music down, even though I don't really like it. People don't listen to pop music for the music. They listen to it for a catchy melody that they've been played to death on the radio, so they know that song. But pop music is a different audience. They don't have things like, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but there's much less band loyalty, say.
Yeah.
And they'll buy the single but not the album and all of that.
Yeah.
Whereas metal is more about the music.
Absolutely.
And you'll find a band and you might follow them forever. Like I Am Maiden or something. They will stick with that band through albums like The X Factor, and they'll come out the other side and still follow them because they're invested in it. So when you get to see them live, you're with a lot of like-minded people who are there for the music. I mean, if you go to a pop concert, not that I've been to many, the people are there because they like that group, but it's not the same. They don't have the same band loyalty. It is a different level of
I think that's true for Western acts. When you think of like bands like BTS from the K-pop scene, they are huge. They sold out 2 nights at Wembley, 70,000 people each night last year. I was there on day one. There was nobody at that show that wasn't a BTS fan, and they are all crazy. The BTS army are like they're like no other,
and that's
fan base.
Like the Justin Bieber effect.
Yeah, I do think that
you get the 1% that have a mad following.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that nobody has.
Yeah, I mean, pop music has its place in the world. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I like to listen to dance music when I'm at the gym because it gets me in the right frame. But although I did listen to some Dragon Force while running a 5K once and ran it in my fastest ever time, I actually thought I was going to have a heart attack at the end of it. So
yeah, that helps.
I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon because it got me a little bit too much going.
I'm more of a podcast person when I'm running because then I get interested in what they're saying and don't think about my legs.
Right.
I'm not thinking about I'm dying. I'm listening to what they're saying. With music, I can kind of tune it out and just feel like and just be concentrating too much on the running. Anyway, so I mean, I'm not suggesting for a second that their pop fans are not fans.
But I don't think it's so much that pop fans aren't fans. I think in the West, pop music isn't the same as what it is when you go east, especially with like the K-pop scene, the J-pop scene. That the kind of fans that you get over there, they release an album and it's got like 7 different versions, and you have to own all 7 versions. We buy them all. We buy all 7 versions. We want to collect all the photo cards and stuff. That doesn't happen. Even with like Justin Bieber, he doesn't release stuff that way. It's totally different.
I wouldn't put up with it if my favourite band released 5 different versions just to get a different song on each one or whatever. That's just treating your audience like piggy banks. I don't.
But we get drawn into it.
Yeah,
we're drawn into it as fans. So. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. We're just talking here. I don't even know if there's still an audience out there. Hello, for anyone who's made it this far. So there was a video on this video. By Mardelas. It was called Apocalypse. It's from this EP, Ground Zero, and it was good. It was really good. It was, like I said already, it was a real grower.
Yeah.
kind of thing. So yeah, another good choice.
Thank you.
Well done.
I'm
So
glad you've liked them all so far.
I know it's gone
that always
well, hasn't
helps. That's gone very well. Yeah.
so yeah. So thanks for watching, everyone. Let us know what you think, and see you soon. Bye bye.